What's going on, everyone? So there have been several reports of teams trying to acquire the number 2 pick from the San Antonio Spurs. Houston is one of the teams that is still, based on reports, active in trying to work out a path to land the number 2 pick. Dylan Harper seems to be the clear-cut kind of number 2 option for most teams, right? The San Antonio Spurs are also expected to take Dylan Harper with the number 2 pick, right? Teams are kind of lining up and trying to pony up, but question is there a deal out there that maybe makes sense for the San Antonio Spurs to where they would trade the number 2 pick? Or is it something where it's like, yeah, absolutely not. We're drafting and keeping Dylan Harper no matter what. We'll see, right? Most people, myself included, I think that they'll just draft Dylan Harper with the number 2 pick and kind of take it from there. But again, stranger things have happened. You never know. A team comes and offers a Godfather package where they're just like, man, even if this guy is a superstar, we'll take our chances with this return. You never know what somebody's going to offer, right? People overpay for things all the time, especially if they think like, Dylan Harper is that franchise guy. But one of the teams that is active in trying to acquire the number 2 pick from the San Antonio Spurs and also is willing to include names that we don't know, but it was listed as surprising names, are the Washington Wizards. So per reports, the Washington Wizards are active in trying to acquire the number 2 pick and are willing to give up multiple picks as well as players that are on their roster and part of their young core. So this report comes from Grant Seth. The Washington Wizards are reportedly willing to trade some surprising names in an effort to move up to the number 2 pick per Grant AF Seth. Holding picks number 6 and 18 in the first round, the Wizards have explored trading up scenarios in hopes of securing one of the top backcourt prospects. League sources told RG. Washington has made multiple offers to teams in the top 5 in an effort to land either Dylan Harper or Jeremiah Fears, even being willing to part with surprising names to move up to the number 2 overall. Thus far, those attempts have been rebuffed. Now, obviously, again, doesn't tell you who those surprising names are, which is a little frustrating, right? Like, are they willing to give up last year's rookie and Alexander Sarr, or is it just like, random guys that you're like, didn't see that coming, right? Like, again, is it like a Bilal, right? Like, who is it? I imagine it's probably somebody like that, right? I'm sure it's, maybe Bud Carrington, some of the younger guys on this roster. Maybe it is even a potential Alexander Sarr, right? Which I don't know if they would do that because he kind of showed some real signs towards the end of the season. Came onto the scene, was just not very good at all. And then kind of started getting more and more comfortable out there and actually showed some signs and glimpses from what you wanted from a, top prospect like that. But again, I don't think the Spurs are going to trade the number 2 pick, right? Like, again, maybe if it's something crazy, right? Like I talked about, like the Sixers. If they gave Maxey and the number 3 pick, maybe, right? The Spurs might go like, Maxey is still young enough. He's still, he's proven, right? They come in, plus we could still go get a top prospect, right? Something like that. I don't think the Sixers would do something like that. I want to be clear about that. Like, I don't necessarily think the Sixers would do something like that, but maybe that would be the type of thing that would incentivize them because, again, they're not in a position where they have to trade the number 2 pick. Now, there are genuine questions about kind of Dylan Harper's fit with De'Aaron Fox as well as Stephon Castle, as well as just his potential development over the especially earlier parts of his career, right? Because he's coming into a team that has an all-star point guard, all-star caliber point guard in De'Aaron Fox, and a guy in Stephon Castle who pre-De'Aaron Fox was supposed to be the point guard, right? And they kind of trained and conditioned this year to be the point guard, and now is going to have to slot in and play the 2 guard. yes, he's 6'6" in size, so could he slide and play the three? Sure, right? But like Dylan Harper is looked at as your kind of point guard, SGA James Harden type, right? Combo guard, but the guy you want to put the ball in his hands and kind of let him go to work and make the decisions. So, there are some genuine questions there. So, could this be something where the Spurs are just kind of trying to jack up his price? So like, this is our guy. We're not trading him for nothing, right? Like, don't even try. We don't even want to hear your offers, right? And then next thing you know, it's like, with the number 2 pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Dylan Harper. We got a trade, right? Like, who knows? Again, my guess, would be that they're going to keep him, right? That they're going to take and draft Dylan Harper, and he will end up being on the roster, and it kind of figure it out, right? Take the best player available and figure it out from there. And look, again, you look at teams like a Oklahoma City Thunder, like an Indiana Pacers. I mean, these teams are running 3, sometimes 4 guard lineups. I mean, against Denver, the Oklahoma City Thunder had Jalen Williams, not Jason Williams, Jalen Williams in at the center position, and then 4 guards around him, and it was like essentially a 5-guard lineup, right? And it was successful, and it worked in those minutes, and gave them positive minutes, right? And again, you look at a team like Indiana, and they've kind of, same thing. They're running 3, 4-guard lineups at times with, Obi Toppin at the 5 and all this stuff. So to me, I look at kind of that situation and I'm like, okay, well, maybe you can do something like that where you are going a De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle. If you get Kevin Durant. If it's not Kevin Durant, then whoever, Harrison Barnes maybe this year, and then Victor Wembanyama, right? Maybe that's kind of your 5-man rotation as far as your starters go. I do imagine Dylan Harper will kind of be eased in. You saw it with Victor Wembanyama. You saw that with even Stephon Castle earlier in the season, and then you saw him kind of progress. Some of that was due to injury, but just in general. But to me, I mean, look, 2 things can happen. Either A, they're going to trade the pick, or B, they're going to keep the pick, right? There's not really this in between. It's just, what would a team be willing, and how far would a team be willing to go in order to pull that off, right? Like, and because again, the Spurs, are they looking at it as like, we don't really need more assets, right? Like, unless a Giannis or something like that becomes available and that's the play we're gonna make, we don't really need more. We might as well start drafting these guys, developing these guys, and getting ready. Like, how many every year you can't bring in 3, 4, 5, 6 new players, right? At some point you're gonna have to start paying guys and building guys and doing all the things that that get these guys to grow. So it's kind of like, well, let's get these guys now, get this over with. You got what many believe is a can't miss prospect in Dylan Harper. Again, you never know, right? But is that something that you're so willing to trade and give up? Again, a team like, hey, we'll give you like the Wizards. We'll give you the number 6 pick, the number 18 pick. We'll give you Bilal. We'll give you Alexander Sarr. And it's like, you kind of get your running mate alongside Victor Wembanyama. You get a nice you solve your wing depth and, Bilal, like, and you get the number 6 and 18 pick for Dylan Harper, right? Like, I don't think the Wizards would do that. Again, I think that would be a hefty overpay. But stranger things have happened, right? Teams do crazy things sometimes. Washington could be looking at it like, hey, we're not giving up any future picks, right? Like, and how high are they on these guys? Where they might be looking at as like, hey, Dylan Harper, that's our franchise guy. And, you look at a team like the Spurs, they could be looking at it like, okay, we now have basically our guard, our forward, our center, and our power forward for the next 8 years, right? Maybe something like that happens and develops. We'll see. Time will tell. But again, I think we'll draft Dylan Harper and that'll be that, right? Like that's probably how this is going to go. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, past question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.